Hello, my name is Evie Burke. Welcome to Wednesday Live with Evie. This is number 32. And today's topic is making your workspace work for you. If you're not familiar with me, I work with women entrepreneurs and I help them take their productivity to a new level. And before I go ahead and I get started with today's topic, my desktop isn't playing nicely these days, so not going to be able to share it places until after the video, but there are a couple of things I want to point out to you. Excuse me. And while I'm things I want to point out while we're waiting for some people here to join us. And one of them is that I have a freebie over at my website called How to Choose Priorities When Everything is Important. And if you are somebody who is trying to figure out how to decide out of all of the things that need to be done today or this week or just in general, and you're trying to decide what needs to be done first and how to prioritize them, that is a perfect thing for you to go and download, because it'll help you get all of that stuff that's in your head floating around, get it on a piece of paper, because as David Allen says, your mind is for having ideas, not holding them. And then it'll walk you through how to prioritize them so you can have a better feel of the things that are really important versus the things that you really want to get done but might not actually be that important for you. So head over to the website, get that. Also, if you're not already in the Facebook group Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs, head over there and join us there. It's a great group, it's free, and it's a good way to connect in and just kind of start to think about, what do I need to get done this week? What is my highest priority for the week? I ask that every Monday, and then on Friday I ask, how did you do? So it's just a little bit of a way to get some accountability. And if you're somebody who would like more accountability than a weekly Facebook check-in, I have a mastermind group that meets on Thursday afternoons. And reach out to me if that's something you're interested in, and we can chat about that. So on to today's topic, which is making your space work for you. And I don't think I already said that. When you see me looking over to the left, it's me looking at my notes to make sure that I'm covering the things I want to cover and not going too far off script, which occasionally I do. So I want to start off by just talking a little bit about the things that are helpful to know where they are or to have them somewhere close by. So for me, those things are my weekly planning and my daily planning, and then the notebook I use to catch any random thoughts that pop up through the day. So those three things are usually pretty close by wherever I'm working, and normally it's up in my office. If I am taking my office on the road, then I have this canvas bag that I throw my small laptop in. I have some pens in here. I have some pens in here. I like colored pens. I throw in my notebook for random thoughts and my top priorities for the day. If it's the end of the week or the beginning of the week and I'm either wrapping up the week or planning the week, I'll also throw what I use for monthly planning. So to say that much more succinctly, one of the things you want to have with you or near you is your priorities. The things that remind you of what your priorities are so that you can stay on top of those and not be sidetracked as you go through the day. So one of the things that I use my notebook for is if I am away from my desk and I have things that pop up that need to be done, I'll write them in my notebook, and then I'll transfer them to one of my to-do lists so that I know that when I say one of my to-do lists, I mean either the daily to-do list or the weekly to-do list, so that I know that they're captured and they'll get done. If I am sitting at my desk, then it'll just get added to my daily list, and that way, even if it's not something I'm going to do today, it's captured. I don't have to think about it anymore, and when I'm creating the next day's list, I can move that over easily. Some other things to think about for your workspace is what's working for you right now. So I've been hearing a lot of people, whether they've been asking me or posting online or overhearing people talk, where they are frustrated with their workspace. Something's not working for them. And it's either messy or it's cluttered, and they can clean it up for a little bit, but then it quickly disintegrates again, or goes back into piles of things. So for that, one of the things to think about is, okay, so what's not working about your setup? What is it that tends to get cluttered? So for me right now, I'm just looking around because it's mostly clean, but there's a few things around. Part of it is just not stacking things nicely. So my weekly and my daily list, they're not consolidated. I was in the middle of a small project when it was time to do my Facebook Live, so that's still out, which is completely normal. But my desk is kind of big. My desk was originally built for my husband by my husband, so it's probably over 6 feet wide. Like when I sit at it, I use like this much of it. So it's very, very long. It's really deep, which is nice, but it's a very big footprint, and it tends to collect things. So at the end of my desk, I have some books that need to be put away, some things that could go and live somewhere else, but they're living on my desk. And so for part of it, the things that aren't working are things that I just haven't taken the time to put away. And so on your desk, look and see what are those things, the things that just need to be filed or put away that maybe you haven't taken the time to do. Another thing to think about is there a reason that you're not doing that? Is it in another room? Is it difficult to find? I know for me, if things are going to get put away quickly, then they need to be close. So for me, if I have a lot of papers lying around, I will start to notice, okay, what is it that I am accumulating? And I will find a new home for them. So one example is I moved away from my online contact management system. I wasn't using it. It was expensive, and I decided that I work better with paper. So I'm trying some things out with paper, and so I would pull out a piece of paper to write down notes about somebody that I wanted to remember, and that paper would lie out. And then there was a couple of people where I ended up with 2 pieces of paper on them because I hadn't filed the piece of paper. So that was just me going, okay, let's move where I keep those a little closer to me so that I'm more likely to put them away. And I also changed a couple of other things about the way that system worked so that I wasn't pulling out that paper all of the time and then leaving it out. So it was only being pulled out when there was something significant to be added to it. So the point here is look at what are the piles on your desk, what easily gets cluttered, and what maybe is telling you that that system doesn't work for you. So for a long time, I'm trying to see if I have one. Let me grab this. For a long time, I had milk crates kind of like this that were sitting on my desk. Again, my desk is big. And then I would have Circa notebooks, and I've put them away. So I don't have many of them anymore. Here's one. I had Circa notebooks that I'd set up inside of them and binders and stuff. What I found was, and I would keep my client files in these because it was easy to add to and easy to pull out of. What I found was I wasn't putting things away because it was hard for me to look at that side of the Circa binders and easily pull out what it was that I needed. And I don't care to use binders like this for a lot of those things because they don't sit flat. They sit at an angle. So it was just an indication that wasn't working for me, that it was time to do something else. So I got a hanging file or a plastic file cabinet. Plastic file cabinet? What is it called? Sterilite file cabinet. And and put some hanging files in there, and guess what? Things get put away. So again, just the point here is notice what's collecting and start thinking of different ways to organize it. And it doesn't mean that the first idea that you have is going to be the one that works. You might notice, okay, part of that worked, part of that didn't, and you might adjust. And then another thing that can happen with our space is we can get distracted. So it might be, I know if I have my phone too close to what I'm working on, then I'll start thinking about, games on my phone or checking Facebook quick on my phone while my computer, which is a little slow, is loading something. So I know for me, it's a good idea to have my phone just out of arm's reach. So that's where its charging stand is just out of arm's reach. I can glance over to it and look at it to notice if there's any notifications that popped up that I might need to do something with, but it's not so close that it's not so close that it's a distraction to me. I know some of you have children or significant others that might be a distraction sometimes. They might want to be asking you questions, and you're trying to get your work done. And in that case, it might be setting some boundaries. I work from this time to this time. And not necessarily all day because, we have breaks in there, but I'm working from 1 to 3. Please don't disturb me. And then they know that if they have a question, they can come to you at 3 o'clock. However, there's a caveat here where if you say you work from 1 to 3, you need to be in your office working 1 to 3. No Facebook posting unless it's for your business. No playing games. No futzing about, because they're going to realize that you're not actually working, and then you're going to get those distractions again. If you work in an office, it could be something like putting up a sign that says, "I'm working, please don't disturb me." But again, make sure that when you're through that period of working, that the sign comes down for a little bit, that it's not just forgotten about. If you're working at your dining room table and you're finding yourself being distracted, maybe it's something like putting a hat on, and when mom's wearing the hat, then that means she's working, and don't bother her. And then when you're not, in the middle of something, when you're ready to take a break, you can take the hat off. And it's just that subtle cue to your family that, okay, she's not to be disturbed. And maybe it's not a hat, maybe it's a scarf, or maybe it's a sign that you put up at the dining room table. Whatever it is for you, just something that's a subtle sign that tells the family, that's distracting you, hey, mom's working right now, spouse is working right now, it's time to, just leave her be to finish what she's working on, and then when she's finished, we can go and ask her questions. There was something else I was going to say. Let's check my notes. Oh, the other thing that can be a distraction, especially if you work from home, is how bulletproof vest headphones. Headphones can be a sign, Jerry Ann, yes, that I don't know about a bulletproof vest. Where are you working, Jerry Ann, that a bulletproof vest is needed? But yes, that could definitely be, a vest or something that you're wearing that's a sign. Headphones, the thing about headphones, if they're the kind that come over your head like this, so my headphones, and I remember this from when I was working in an office. My headphones, they're all tied up, but they look like this, and when I'm wearing them, look at that, you can't really tell that I'm wearing them because I have hair that is kind of poofy. And so when I was working full-time in an office setting, people would accidentally scare the bejesus out of me because I'd have my headphones in and be, you know, working on something, and somebody would come up behind me and start talking to me because they had just assumed that I had heard them coming. And I would jump 3 feet in the air and turn around, and then they'd notice, you know, the wires, and they go, "Oh, sorry, we didn't know you were wearing your headphones." So yes, headphones work as long as they're very visible, as long as they're the kind that, you know, come up over your head so that they're visible to the people that are coming up behind you or to the side or whatever it is. Your grandsons, huh, Jerry Ann? They're the ones why you need a bulletproof vest. You know, Nerf guns, maybe they have Nerf guns all over the place. So yeah, so just those subtle cues that can tell the people around you that, hey, I'm working and I'm not to be disturbed. As far as things to keep on your desk, or keep nearby, think about what it is that you would need to have with you when you go to Starbucks or your local coffee shop and you want to work from there. What are the things that you need close by? So, like I said, for me, I have that canvas bag, I have my laptop, I have a mouse, a USB mouse, have some pens, I throw my notebooks in there. If there's a book that I'm reading, sometimes I throw that in there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That's pretty much it. There's other things on my desk that I use or I keep pretty regularly. I have, as part of the not needing to pull out those piece of papers for my contact system that may or may not change in the next month or so, I have index cards with people's names on them, just as the quick, you know, who is it that I should call this week type of thing. I won't go into that system that I'm futzing with that's still in progress. But just think about what is it that you need on your desk. And I'm not somebody who feels or says that just because your desk is messy means you can't be productive. It helps if you have space to work, but there can be things on your desk. So it just depends on what works for you. So some people need a little bit of stuff so that it doesn't feel so stark. Some people like a completely blank desk. Whatever works with you, just make sure that it's not a situation where you're beating yourself up for having, you know, a couple of things on your desk because you feel like your desk should be completely clear. You know, maybe having a completely clear desk doesn't work for you. So if anybody has any questions, anything specific that they're kind of struggling with, that they would like a little feedback or help around, feel free to comment that below. This is one of those things where I can give you some general tips, some things to look for, but it's going to manifest itself a little differently for everybody. So I can tell you to, you know, the quick tips here would be what's not working with your space. You know, does it easily get cluttered? Do you have lots of physical piles everywhere? I can tell you to think about, okay, what are those things and what are in the piles? Why, you know, start thinking about why does it get cluttered? What about the system that you currently have doesn't quite work? And then also to think about, okay, so I know the things that aren't working. What are the things that are working? What are the things that do get put away? What are the things that don't clutter my desk? And what's working for that? And how can I use what's working with that maybe to help me with the things that aren't working? So I can give you those overall suggestions, but sometimes it's more helpful if you have somebody to talk with and to share, okay, this specifically isn't working, and to specifically go through, you know, the details of that situation. So if you have any questions, you know, comment them below, or reach out to me individual or personally, and I'm happy to have a quick conversation with you about it. Trying to think. I know Jerry Ann said that you you said you need something unsubtle with them. So maybe it is a baseball cap, or maybe it is just a sign that says, please don't bother me until 3 p.m. or play, you know, in the other room until whatever, you know, whatever it is that might work for them. Depending on their ages, part of that's probably going to depend on how well that works for them. So let's see. And yes, Heather, I usually have a book for that in between time, or the time where I just need a little break from what I'm working on to have my mind do other things. So it's helpful. So let's see. Mary wrote, I get cluttered. The important thing for me is to have some time set aside to declutter on a regular basis. But if I tried to never clutter, I'd go nuts. But it's all a matter of, as Evie says, doing what works for you. Yeah, and I think the problem can come in, Mary, where you're not setting that time aside, or and again, it's what works for you. I know for me, I like to have things put away if possible, but that doesn't mean that I don't get business cards that kind of lay out for a little bit because I haven't done what I wanted to do with them, or other things don't get put away quite as quickly as I wanted to. But yeah, they need to get put away. So Jerry Ann says, I have an office, but when I need to work at the table, it's a challenge with a 9 and a 5-year-old. Yeah, Jerry Ann, I could see that would be an issue. The 9-year-old by his or herself might be a little better about keeping themselves occupied, but with a 5-year-old, it's a little more difficult. I don't have kids, so I'm guessing there's only so many things you can give them to keep them occupied for any amount of time. Like, it might work for 15 minutes, or maybe if you're lucky a half hour, but then after that they're ready maybe to move on to something else. Here's the thing. If anybody has any ideas for Jerry Ann about how to keep the 9 and 5-year-old occupied, and it might be that when they're over, you do activities that don't require as much attention. So it might be some busy work that needs to get done or something like that, and then the stuff that really needs concentration and no distraction, you schedule those for times when they're not over. I'm not sure what your schedule is with them, if you have them quite regularly or not, but that might be something to talk. They live here. Okay. Yes, then that's going to be more of an issue. You might need to enlist the other adults in the house to help you out with that, to help remind them. And if there's periods of time during the day where you're the adult in the house, then again, it might be a matter of what are the really concentrated type of work that you can do while you're watching them. And then the things that need more attention, then maybe those are things that you can do when there's another adult in the house that can kind of watch over them and help you not be distracted. So Mary suggested, is it possible to block some time for table work and make sure that someone is there to do something with the boys, like 2 to 4 on Thursdays is the time I'm going to spread out. Yeah. So yeah, again, having another adult there that can help out with that. Let's see, I missed. Ooh. Yeah, and Mary says another thing to do is maybe enlist Disney videos or some special toys that they only do when you're trying to, that they only get when they're trying to I died. Did I come back? I hope I came back. We're going to assume I came back. I hit a button and something popped up, so hopefully I came back. But Mary said to possibly buy some special toys that they can only use during concentrated work that you're doing. So Mary says you hear me. Okay, good. That was my next question. I know that there was a period of time where I worked with a coach who had I think she had twin 5-year-olds at the time we were working together. And so because she was coaching me, and she was a stay-at-home mom, she would, like Mary said, she would put in a movie, and she had a rule that unless somebody was bleeding or dying, that she was not to be interrupted. But she was in the next room, so she could still hear them and keep an eye on them. And that worked with some success. You know, there was still pretty regularly at least one interruption of one of the girls wanting to ask something or tattle or, you know, something on the other one. And she was always very apologetic. And we had, I think our phone calls were 30 minutes. I think sometimes what we forget is other people can really be understanding. So I don't know if maybe you have phone calls or something that are going on, but people are generally pretty understanding when you're upfront with them about the situation, you know. And she just shared with me, I'm a single mom. She had a husband, but he worked full time. She was at home, you know, with the kids, and she was the one there. And I loved it. I thought that it was really sweet that she was making this work with her schedule, and it didn't bother me when they interrupted. It was always very small. It was under usually 30 seconds, and then she'd send them on their ways and apologize. So it just depends on where you are and what's going on. So hopefully there's something in there that was helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because we are at almost the half-hour mark. So my name is Evie Burke. Today we talked about making your workspace work for you and a little bit about what to look for, what to notice about what's not working, and hopefully you got some ideas about some other things you can do to kind of help you through those situations. So, and one of the things I will share too, and I've shared this before, is sometimes you just need to get everything off your desk and then figure out what you're going to do with it later. So one of the things that I've done in the past is I've grabbed a laundry basket and just pulled everything off my desk and put it in the laundry basket, and it stayed in my office, but it cleared off my desk. I didn't have time to go through it all, but it cleared off my desk, and anything that I needed that had been on my desk was now in the laundry basket. And then when I had time, I could go through the laundry basket and pull out, you know, what I needed or put things away. So sometimes the unconventional situations or unconventional suggestions can work really well and at least be a stopgap until we can figure out what the more permanent solution is. So until next week, everyone have a wonderful week. And if you have any topic that you'd like to see covered in one of these Facebook Lives, you let me know and I will take a look at it. I'm always open to suggestions. So again, have a great week and much love. Bye.